Responding to hate mail from a property investor. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at some hate mail I've received. Now it may surprise you, I don't receive that much hate mail. Most of it probably gets caught by the filters. Hate comments are another thing, but, you know, I don't really pay much attention to those. So if someone takes the effort to actually send me some hate mail, I thought, you know what, I would respond and have, a little conversation. So I thought we'd have a look at this hate mail. At the very least, I can turn it into a video and just, share some insights that we can get from this. Now, I'm not going to say who the person was. I looked into them. They looked, based on what I could find, they have a business in Sydney and probably about, I'd say, Gen Xer there. So, Florian, I've been coming across your YouTube clips for months now. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, I'm using the strategy of significant content creation to get market exposure. Guys, that's why, I get up early every morning, 4 a.m. and make my videos in the morning. And occasionally, if we get breaking or exciting news, I'll make one in the middle of the day to avoid real work or renovations on the house. But anyway, you appear to be a typical negative battler that has next to known or no assets to his name and is so disenchanted with everything that you've created these appalling YouTube videos for all the battlers, losers out there. Okay, so I'm a negative battler, and all the battlers are losers. You're a loser. If you don't have any assets to your name, if you don't have a house, you're a loser, guys. And the sad thing about that is that I think that's a real common trend here in Australia. People who rent are looked down upon. People who haven't gotten to the property market, are considered a lower class. Australia's meant to be this egalitarian society, but no, that's bullshit, guys. It's bullshit. You've got the homeowners. Below them, you've got the renters, and above that, you've got the landlords. And then it's how many houses you can brag about, because that's what it is. It's all about property here in Australia, guys. We're obsessed about it. Every bloody TV show is about it. Every government grant and handout is about it. Everyone thinks they're going to make their fortune in property. So, mate, let me give you a tip. Stop trying to fight the system that has produced more wealth for Australians in the last 80 years than any other form of investment. It's there in black and white. Now, see, this is the problem. I mean, this is the thing. He's right. It's produced a lot of wealth for Australians. But is it real wealth or is it a bubble? We're seeing property as shot to the moon. And what are we getting for it? It's not really a productive asset, is it? Maybe the productive thing of a house, what is it? Children, new population. We're failing at that, guys. None of you having any kids. Come on, lift up your game. Eat some more steak. Get those T levels higher. Stop with the soy. If you can't afford a house in Brisbane, you must be a complete retard. So he's a bit emotional here. Brisbane is one of the most undervalued cities in the world for what it has to offer. Well, he's from Sydney, he doesn't know. This is the problem. You got anchored price levels. So if you're used to these insane prices, Brisbane will seem like a bargain. And I mean, it's not as inflated as other cities. He's right there. It's not as inflated as other cities. And we got quite a good deal, actually. I mean, we bought a dump that needs a lot of work, and I'm stripping walls and paint and stuff, but it's part of life. Stop whinging and realize the longer you try and fight the system, the longer you will be a disenchanted battler. You carry on like 600,000 is a lot for a house. Are you serious? And I respond to him, yeah, well, 600. The thing is, I see all this stuff from an architect's perspective. How much it costs to build these bloody things. When you see a unit with literally foam, pretty much glorified stacking foam, stuck to the outside that can catch on fire, selling them for 600 grand each. It's insane. Or houses built with some, fast-growing pine slapped together with a bit of plasterboard. When they build them for 100-200 grand. Go live in a tent in Byron, you moron. So I'm a loser, a retard, and a moron. I wouldn't live in a tent in Byron. It's too cold. Too cold. Yeah, and I mean, do I look like a stereotypical buyer? Maybe with the shirt. Maybe with the shirt today, I look like a stereotypical Byron hippie. But yeah, nah, I don't. I'm not inclined that way. I have a shot of coffee to all the Byronites. I remember we went to Byron recently. Did we? I think we did. Somewhere south. Yeah, I think we went down to Byron, and we paid a fortune for fish and chips. So expensive. So expensive. You're attempting to deter people from buying property and developing their wealth. Well, not really. Not really. I'm just giving a perspective on it. I'm not in the real estate business for my occupation. However, and here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. I looked him up on LinkedIn. Looks like he owns a cleaning business if it's the same person. However, all my wealth over the last 20 years and all my parents' wealth over the 60 years has come from property. So here's the thing: it's the N1 example, N+1, the one sample size. So all his wealth and all his parents' wealth has come from property. That's all he knows. And how many people are in the same boat? So if you're seeing anything challenging this argument that property is the bee's bloody knees, of course you're going to respond like this. Of course you're going to be pissed off. Mate, stop being so negative. Buy a house in Brisbane while you can, and you will still be whinging from your apartment in 10 years' time. I mean, does this look like an apartment? I don't think he's watched many of my stuff, but I responded. You obviously should have started 15 to 20 years ago, and are so bitter you didn't you are now trying to rally support from other no-hopers. So obviously he was a little shitty, and he actually went to the effort to write an email, So let's have a look. I thought I'd respond to it. Normally I can't be bothered, but for some reason I thought I would respond to it. So let's look at my response. So, dear such and such, mate, have you been watching any of my videos? And this is the thing, most people will just look at the title or watch like 30 seconds, or they'll just see the title one and again and just build up an opinion, not actually look into any of them, and they'll just respond. I see it all the time in the comments. So I own a home in Brisbane, and I can support a stay-at-home wife and 5 kids. So, I mean, I'm not completely loaded. I'm not at the point where I can start selling you online courses on how to make $1 million a month. I mean, that's the thing. All these guru guys, we saw the young guy yesterday was making $100,000 a month on drop shipping. The money's in the courses. The money's in the courses. I'm actually thinking I should probably make a course on dividing up a commercial office space into subtenancies and all the implications there. Because, I mean, a lot of that's advice we'll give to someone for free when they want to tender. I'm kind of getting sick of doing that. Maybe I should do a cheap course, Here are all the lists. Here are all the issues. So, you missed the point, mate. Building all our nation's wealth on just property will continue to erode the complexity of our economy and just encourage the continuation of investing in property. I mean, that's it. You look at our economic complexity, and that's to do, and I refer to this in almost every other video because I think it is really important, guys, and it's kind of becoming a meme. I know, but we're at 73rd in the world according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity. According to the Harvard blokes from Harvard Atlas, we're doing even worse, guys. So you can see here on the Harvard Atlas, we're at 87th in the world. So they think we're even worse than the OECD. So, I mean, that's a problem. We're going down. Our economic complexity is going down. It's to do with the quality of exports and the complexity of exports, actually, not the quality, the complexity of exports that we ship overseas. And that's an example of just where our economy is competing. I mean, think about how hard it is to get manufactured goods in Australia. Our economy isn't that complex. We're tourists, we're house flippers, we're English educators, and we're dirt diggers. That's Australia. And coffee servers. So, and here my argument is, this is one of the points that I, it's a different perspective. When you watch a lot of the US financial channels and all these other people like Dave Ramsey, they don't see houses as, well, your home as a big way of building investment. They look at other ways to do it. Sure, they invest in property, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Here, I'd say your wealth should come from your business and innovation, not just from buying property and riding a rising market. Everyone's a genius, guys, when the market is going up. When it's just shooting up. shouldn't we be building businesses that we can sell or markets where people can invest in? Maybe I'm just naive. And 600 grand is a S-load for a house if you knew what goes into building them. Thanks for taking the time to send me an email, but I don't think you've watched enough of my content to understand my perspective. Also, don't be so judgmental of people who haven't made it into the property market. It's not a classy look, mate. It isn't. It really is. I understand why. I mean, people feel like they're doing good. They're really well, fantastic. But, I mean, you're kind of kicking the people that you're dependent on to to fund your investments. So he responded. So, your day job business pays the bills and your lifestyle, but it doesn't build your wealth. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I know a senior architect who just sold a business. I mean, architecture businesses are hard to sell, but, they should. That is where the innovation is. That's where the economic complexity is. Building a business, building a brand, that has value. So $6,000 for a house and land, not cheap. No, it's not, mate. Not when you see how much they make it for. So he paid. This is his story, and this is his one sample, and this is why. And you'll see here, this is why he's responding this way. He paid $865 for a house in 2009 in Sydney for the land. Knocked it down and spent 400 grand on a new build. Sold it last month for 2.641 million. So if we have a look here, he got it when? In 2009? That's property prices. So there we go. We see 2009, and Sydney is the light blue line there. Okay, and look at that growth that he's gotten there. That index shows the average Sydney price has gone up to 100. It's a bit down from that. So, and here's the counter argument he's making. Can you save that money? 100 grand per year, or 7% per year compounded, good but not huge. And he makes a legitimate point here. There were all the negative property people around then too, and 10 years before and 20 years before that too. Imagine if I'd listened to him. So this is his N1 sample. This is why he's got such a passionate opinion about property, because he's done really well. 2.6 million from what did he put in? 1.2 million. So he's kind of a little bit over doubled his money for what? How many years? 11 years. 11 years in property. What other opportunities could you have invested in there? I mean, you couldn't imagine a million of them. That's not really the point. But you can see here why you've got people that are just jumping into property. So I responded to him again. So, congratulations on your example. I don't even write properly my emails. But you're missing the point, or that point. The problem is the market intervention by the government, including tax incentives, have created a situation which is steadily disincentivizing people to create businesses or to innovate. So he doesn't even see a business as something to grow your wealth. He just sees it as something to just pay the bills and your lifestyle. This is clearly demonstrated in Australia's declining economic complexity. I ran that one home. And below trend GDP growth when population growth is taken into account. So we've been below trend since the GFC, guys. The economy's still been growing. GDP has still been increasing, but it's been below trend when you take population growth. Your business should be seen as a productive asset that increases in value and something that you can sell. But the problem with the Australian mindset is that buying property is seen as the only path to wealth for many. And we're seeing that again and again. And the media just, doubles down on it. And people just only see it as their only path to building wealth. And I'm saying it's actually different to other cultures in the world. Why deal with all the red tape, employees and customers, when it's smarter to just invest your money in housing? Why deal with all the crap? Essentially, Australia is paying a huge opportunity cost because of our obsession with housing, and I would argue there needs to be a national dialogue around how we can get off this housing obsession. I'd argue for a phase out of negative gearing, while increasing the tax-free threshold to compensate people in order to slowly remove any artificial stimulus to the housing and property market. But I can't see any politicians getting elected with trying to address any of these issues. I mean, can you see anyone doing it? Is it just going to be more and more of the Ponzi scheme? Future generations are going to pay the burden for this one or another. We're already seeing now where people can't even, are labeled as loser, negative battlers. I'm a loser, retard, moron, and no hoper. And that's the problem. That's the mindset here. Because someone bought at the right time, right before the market shot up, and the government's pumping everything in property. I mean, is that a genius? Everyone's a genius riding the wave up. Remember when crypto was going crazy in 2017? All these experts and masterminds were just plugging all their schemes. I'm concerned that our leaders will do nothing. We'll get more inequality and more idiots and younger people pushing for socialist interventions to address growing wealth inequality. And that's my biggest concern, guys. We're starting to see it. We're starting to see it. Out of interest, you say you've seen my videos. Which one prompted you to email me? And 600 grand seems a lot for a house and land when you know how they're built. Apartments are even worse. So he got back to me. He got back to me again. So, Florian, thanks for your explanation. I do appreciate after my rant to you. So obviously he was emotional and he just kept seeing my videos and he got pissed off. I've noticed your videos when Googling YouTube. You seem to pop up on the cover page almost always when some negative with some negative type of heading. I've never seen anything positive from you, whether it's employment, property, and the economy, whatever, it's all constant negative. Anyway, good luck and thanks for your measured response. Well, there's a reason for that. Well, one, because we're entering the first recession in 28 bloody years. And two, YouTube doesn't push out any of the positive news I do. No one watches it. The views are like a third of anything else. When I do a good news video. And I'm not going to just spruik things for the sake of spruiking. People are talking about, property shooting up, going to the moon. Because you got to measure these things relative to anything else. If we look at wage growth, how is property going to keep shooting up? It's going to be by government intervention. They're going to keep stimulating it, guys. Rents are falling in Sydney, Melbourne. Property prices are starting to take a hit, particularly in apartments. So what do you think, guys? What do you think about this perspective? Someone who's done really well in property and just has that reflective response. And, I don't blame him for it. But I'm worried about this mindset. It's just more of a sign of the divide here in Australia. The cultural divide, the class divide. That's there. I mean, do you think Australians look down on people who don't have property? Who don't own property? And yet depend on those very same people to build all their wealth? What do you think about my suggestions about trying to get us off this property obsession, to remove us from this addiction to property? Do you think it's even possible? Will any politician move forward with it? Do you think there's any chance of the LNP doing it, or Labor with all of the problems that they've had? Let me know your opinions, guys. What would you do to try and restore some sense to this market? Or is it just going to keep going and just go along for the ride? Jump on and hold on tight. What do you think? Have you invested in property? Do you think the rises you've gotten relative to the work in other businesses, does it seem as ludicrous to you as me? Or is it just people who don't work hard and other businesses don't realize? Maybe. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions. What would you do and what would your suggestions be? As always, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode.